Hi, I'm Memphis. I'm a shaman, the owner of Walking Between Worlds. And today I'm doing another video in my series of experiences with different deities, angels, fairies, different kinds of beings, just to kind of share a little bit about what working with some of these entities might be like, if there's anyone out there that currently works with them and is looking for answers or information, or is wanting to work with them and wants to know a little bit more about that. So today I'm going to be talking about the Morrigan, who is a Celtic, actually a series of Celtic goddesses. It's not just one entity. She's multiples that kind of make up one person. It's kind of hard to explain, but she's the goddess of death, of prophecy, of battle, of fate, and of sovereignty. Having ownership and responsibility over yourself, over the land that you live on, the people you are supposed to take care of, and a sense of obligation. That's really what I mean when I say a sovereign or a sovereignty type of energy. So I've been working with the Morrigan for probably the shortest amount of time out of everybody that I'm going to talk about in this series, but my work with her has been the most intensive and consistent. I do a ritual with her on my own once a week. She has a shrine on my altar. You know, it can be intense. And so I have a lot of information because of that. So I felt like she'd definitely be a good person to share about. And she's also, because of her nature, because when we talk about battle, when we talk about war, when we talk about death, that's something that's foreign to most of us, unless you're a veteran. And so it's scary. Some people could even construe what she stands for as evil if they're superstitious or if they're Christian, and that's just simply not true. And so there's a lot of misinformation that's out there specifically about her. So I think it's important. I think it's important to share about all of these deities that I'm talking with. But I think it's especially important to share about her and entities like her that are a little more obscure and unknown, or just misunderstood. Because it seems like in the New Age community, if it's not love and light, if it's not angels, if it's not the highest good, everyone runs away from it like it's the plague. And they do a disservice to themselves and also the people they want to work in service to. Because life just isn't like that. Life just isn't all one side. And how can you get through the rougher parts of your own life if you're not willing to look that darkness in the face sometimes and ask for help from gods and goddesses who are made to walk through that darkness with us? So when I first started working with her, I asked for a sign. I made an offering to the Morrigan of three blue jay feathers I found in a cemetery. I told her what they were and where they came from. I asked for her help with my psychopomp work and with my partnership with my partner. Specifically, I wanted her help, and I asked her to send me a sign that she'd accepted my offering. That sign could be whatever she wanted. I trusted that it would be obvious enough that I would know it was from her. A few minutes after I finished my prayer to her asking for help and making this offering, I went out for a walk. And I walked past a relatively fresh, dead blue jay laying on the sidewalk. I took this as the sign. I mean, it was the same bird that I had just offered the feathers to. I mean, the same kind of bird. And it was literally not even a half hour from when I had spoken to her, which I've asked for help from my guides and either gotten the help or gotten the answers like by the end of the day, within weeks, but like within an hour. Oh my God, that's never happened. Never happened. So I thanked her for the sign. I performed psychopomp on the blue jay because it did look like it was very recently dead. And I also kind of felt like that was why it was something dead that she was showing as her sign. Was she's like, what are you going to do about this? You want help with psychopomp? Show me what you can do. So it's kind of like me asking her, prove yourself, and then her asking me, okay, prove yourself. So it's kind of like this tit for tat sort of thing. So the ritual that I do once a week, I don't really know if you can call it that, but I learned later, I learned sometime last year that I have the ability to allow a spiritual being to manipulate my face physically, where my face will physically take on a different image, a different shape. And it's really cool. I do practice it, but I really don't know what to do with it. So since the Morrigan is also known for shape-shifting into wolves, into ravens, I asked if she would be willing to work on this with me and help me figure out how can I use this gift to help other people? Like, what can I do with this? Or help animals with it. So once a week, I will ask an aspect of her, one of these goddesses that makes up the Morrigan, to come into my space enough to like put her face over my face, so that I can see what she looks like. And when that happens, I can also hear her talking. And so it's a way to be close to her, work with this skill that I have, but also get information from her in a very, very clear way, because it's really, really easy to hear her and feel her when I can also see her on my own face. So this is, and then I will write down the information she gives me or any details about that experience. So this is one of the notes from one of these instances where I did this. I felt them encircle me immediately. I couldn't see or hear them, only feel them in front and behind. It was like a hug. Everything got very quiet and still. I let them merge their face onto mine. My right eye went totally black and became slightly larger than the other eye. The left eye eventually went black too. There was a dark slash, like a scar or paint, going down the side of my face. My cheeks became sunken, the bones more defined, and I had wrinkles along my mouth and chin. But the face was still strong and powerful, even if it was older and scary to look at. I was afraid, but did not feel threatened or like I was in the presence of something bad or something that was going to hurt me. They felt ancient and fearsome, a being who commands rather than encourages. I could hear her speak in my head. I asked her what to do with this gift. She said, use it to merge my consciousness with animals and plants. Touch them, but merge only my mind, not my body. Take them into my mind first, feel what they feel. Then switch the stream so that I flow into their mind. Then send healing or a command, like telling a threatened animal to fight back and maim a person who's trying to hurt them. It can be done in journeys over distance, but it would be harder to make sure the commands were heard that way. I asked about what would happen if I did this to people. They said I would have to touch them. It could not be done on a human without physical touch, and I'd have to make absolutely sure I was acting only in love, or it is a violation of their free will. They cautioned me against that now. They said, work up to it. Start with animals and plants. And this note is also from another instance where I did this face thing with her. I saw the oldest version of the Morrigan's face. This was a merging of all the three faces I had seen so far. I asked her what my Celtic ancestors were like. She said they were beautiful. All of us had always been been beautiful. In the beginning, they were tall. As the Tuatha intermarried more with humans, we grew shorter. I asked if she had been tall. She said, I am a bird. I am also a woman. Sometimes I am both. I might seem tall to those who see me. I am not. My mother was tall. My husband was tall. She said, we were also strong, incredibly strong, especially the women. Then she goes on to talk a little bit about my son, my older son. She said, Lucius wouldn't fight or get physical with kids who tried to hurt him because he is not here to fight. That's my role. He won't have to fight. His life won't be like mine. Any struggles he has, he will embrace them openly. He will choose to be as vulnerable to his pain as he is with his loved ones. I, however, walk with death, and death requires that there be fighting sometimes because it's a change, and all humans are resistant to change. They fight it first, then they mourn, then they accept it. So those are the other things she said were a little more personal, so I won't get into that. And then the last one is also from the more shape-shifting. This one I asked specifically to see the aspect of her that works most with battle and with carnage, who is badb. She is the one who most often shapeshifts into a raven's face, or a raven's body, or a woman with a raven's head. Asked to see the face she wears on the battlefield. I saw badb's face. One eye was missing, the other was ringed with black like a bruise, dirt smeared across her brow, mouth opened, twisted in a scream with a red nose and mouth. It was terrifying. I started to shake. She told me, I asked to see. Now look at all of it. So I did. Once I calmed down, she said that she fed off the energy of a battle, but she was also a forge. She molded those who survived the fighting. She took to her the souls of those who died. They had pledged themselves to her before they set foot on the battlefield. The ones she molded had agreed to this beforehand too. She said I'd understand it as a soul that was agreeing to an experience before they incarnated. Some were aware in their lifetime and did so willingly. Some did not and only had that pre-contract of before they incarnated. badb said all of us are like that. When we are born with a guardian angel or a guide, the binding goes both ways. We agree before birth to a certain fate. The spirit is there to guide us ultimately to that fate. It is in our best interest because it is what our soul wanted and agreed to before it incarnated, not necessarily because it was or is what is good for us the way I might define good. I asked what was my fate. What did I agree to before I had incarnated? She said, I agreed to suffer the way I did as a child. I agreed to be placed under the protection of the Metatron in order to have the best chance of surviving all of that suffering. I agreed to continue learning with Anubis and working with death, wherever that might lead me, including to working with other death gods. I agreed to connect to my ancestors, to work most authentically with my human body. My work has a physicality to it. I need my body to do what I do. Not just any body with flesh and muscle, but my body with its DNA, with its history, and with its construction of my brain. I need it to shapeshift. I need it to connect the way I do to her. She cannot connect this way with everyone. There is a genetic relation between her and some of my ancestors that allows her to morph my face into hers and be so physically present in my life. She could take a human form, and she does, even now. She walks with human legs in another country, in another place. I will never meet her that way. I must know her this way instead. She said, there are others like me who have this construction in their brain, but we are very few and scattered throughout the world. We will never meet, and I shouldn't try to meet them. That's not what we're meant to do. We are meant to influence the communities we are in, not form a community of our own. She said she is somewhat sorry for my fate because I will be lonely, never meeting someone quite like me. Her fate was the same, surrounded by warriors, but not quite one of them, because she was still above and separate from them. She said sometimes she feels lonely in that. Her work is glorious but lonely, and she is sorry that I will feel this way sometimes too. After she left, there remained on my face a red mark on my right cheek below my eye. When I came downstairs and was finished with all of this, my partner could see the mark on my face, and it stayed for about an hour. And there have been other times that I've done this, and maybe about like 30% of the time, I'm done doing this and go about my business, and I still have a mark either on my forehead or around one of my eyes that other people can see, not just me. So those are some of the experiences that I've had with her. I really, really hope that this helps. I'm also going to put a link to a book that when I started doing this work, I read it just to learn more about her, because I never work with any kind of entity just because. If they're coming forward and they're asking me to work with them, as she did, I need to know about them. I need to be able to understand what they need. How do I respect them? How do I honor them? What are they for? How do they move through the world? Because I don't want to hurt myself. I don't want to hurt others. And I also do not want to offend them. If they're willing to offer me their time and their energy, I want to honor them back. I want to appreciate that. And also, if I don't want to work with that person, how can I know that until I learn more about them and say, okay, well, you know, this isn't for me, I'm not doing this, and know how to respectfully say thank you, but no thank you. So I'm going to put that down below in the link, and I hope that this helps everyone who's watching this, and I will see you again next month.